All right, welcome back. We're here for another week, so thank you for everyone that has been at least watching the saved episode. So I appreciate that. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people saying that they're tuning in. So thanks, and Tim, thanks for showing up every week, man. How you doing today?
Absolutely, doing good. The sun is out for now, as you guys can see in the top left corner of my of my window. I don't think it's going to last very long today, and we've had a hell of a few days weather-wise here. I don't know how it's been up north, but down south, the south side of Chicago has and Chicagoland has been hit extremely hard the last few days. So we've been back on storm watch.
So what does that look like for you as a property manager? Like, what have you guys had to deal with in the last week that you normally don't have to deal with?
Several trees falling onto roofs. A lot of roof leaks that weren't there. Shingles blowing off. Any roof that you would look at the beginning of the summer and go, hey, it's probably got a few more years, but it's older shingles. Those are getting blown off right now. I don't want to say disappointed, but we went on Tuesday when the sirens went off. We went in the basement. Apparently, the tornado touchdown. We're on 175th. The tornado touchdown 174th. So we were that close to the tornado this time.
Holy cow!
I didn't actually know until after, like when you watch the news afterwards, they do the whole drawing of a line thing. So we were like just at the tip, it literally just missed our house on Tuesday.
They said that one was 300
yards. Yeah.
Wide. Wow. That's just crazy.
If it was 400, it would have hit our house.
Wow.
So that's the closest I've ever been to a tornado, although I didn't see it or know that I was that close. I mean, obviously we were in the basement and knew it was happening, but I didn't know it was that close to us. It went through Homewood and Hazel Crest again. It went through Lansing. All of the areas. If you go to our website and look at the areas that we serve, basically that's the list of where tornadoes hit on Tuesday, as well as the prior storm. So right now, man, it's just been when Pablo was on a couple of weeks ago, we talked about it, right? Florida gets this, they know it's season for hurricanes. And then from there, they know a hurricane's coming a week and a half in advance to sort of tarp up and build things and do things. And then they have the roofers and the exterior workers that are all flying in because they all book their trips for after the hurricane because they know there's going to be work. We don't have any of that, so we're running out. I mean, I'm calling through roofers in the white pages right now. We have a list of 10 roofers that we worked with over the years, and we're exhausting them all, and they're all backed up, and we're at this point just going through and trying to find as many roofers as we can. I mean, it's just been prioritized, and who has the worst damage, that one has to go first, and then go from there. So it's been a fun few weeks.
Do you have homes that are uninhabitable, like people just can't live in there and they're living somewhere else right now?
Yeah, so we have one in Chicago Heights that the roof collapsed in from the storm. That's the only one that's uninhabitable. We do have quite a few over the last few weeks that have had buckets, or we have unfortunately one tenant that had to like plastic wrap her couch for a few days and to make it worse, right? It's not like the storm happens and then the roofers can start working, even though they wouldn't start working on that property specifically, because there's so many properties even from the last tornado still being worked on. But it's just thunderstorm after thunderstorm, so they're getting out there for a couple hours a day. And I will say it's amazing. I've never seen. I was just talking to Dave at my office, and he was saying like literally he's seeing roofers go in the morning at 8 a.m, tear off a roof, and he comes home from work and it's done. Like they're bringing they know the rain's coming, so they're not, instead of having 6 crews, they're having one crew with 6 crews worth of guys just go and knock out a roof because you only have 6 or 7 hours before the next storm.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So are you having to have any tough conversations with tenants about like, hey, your renter's insurance will cover this. This is not necessarily like, are those scenarios you're putting in right now?
Honestly, we haven't had too much. I mean, I think the tenants understand. We have had some tougher conversations with owners, especially out-of-state owners, just because they're like, hey, my roof's been leaking for a week. What's going on? And I'm like, unfortunately, all your neighbors, like if you go 2 blocks down, all your neighbors are literally missing their roof. So like, like you have a leak that's going into a bucket, and 100, and this is the hard thing that like this is where like it gets lost in email sometimes, but it's like 100%. If this was any other summer, any other August, your roof would be a priority, and your roof would have been done in a couple of days without how many roofers that we have contacts with and et cetera. But this is just extreme circumstances where it's really a weird time, and like we have to prioritize of like, all right, this house is uninhabitable. We gotta get this one first, and then same thing. I sent a bid over, and it's like, well, I have my roofers should do that for half, and it's like, yeah, we normally prioritize the cheapest roofers, the cheapest roofers that do the best work, right? Obviously, we're not just going to the cheapest roof, but
best value.
But the guys that we have, the reason we can, as a management company, we can build relationships is because we're giving them 10 roofs a year, right? Those guys are so backed up that they had roofs already that we scheduled with them for normal, just like, hey, this roof's old. And that was supposed to be done in July. And because of the smoke, like this is the exterior workers schedule this year. June rained almost every day. Then it finally stopped raining around 4th of July. And then we got the Canadian smoke, which made it impossible to work outside. And then it was 120 degrees, and then tornadoes started.
Yeah. It's one after another. And you're having to have these conversations with these owners really about triage, where it's like if you translate to a medical, like the guy that's got a broken arm on any normal day is usually the guy that gets taken care of right away. But in this scenario, the guy that's holding his arm that came off is the one that have to actually attend to, while the broken arm is actually the less of an issue in that scenario.
I like that. I got to use it. I just had another. I just started using another medical thing to that I came up with yesterday with my team, because we got a couple people that we took a quicker we took the cheaper fix, right? We gave the options. Hey, we can do a $10,000 fix. We can do a $500 fix patch. And they took the 500 one, and then it didn't last. And that's been my way of explaining it. It's like medical. If you have a disease, they don't just opt to surgery right away. They're going to try medicine first, and then if that doesn't work, then you go to surgery. So now I have 2 medical lines that I'm going to be using this week.
All right. Well, man, we sucks to be you, man. Hopefully you're making some money from it. Hopefully you're earning some additional bonus points to some of your clients, your tenants, for the way you guys are being reactive. But I know we've had some rain, we've had some backup, but we have not had that severe of issues. And even, we even have some properties sprinkled down there in those areas too. We just have not, we just got lucky. But don't get me wrong, it's going to storm later today. Maybe next week we'll be talking about the opposite of all the roofs that we're having to put on. So hopefully that's not the case. But man, are you, so you've had the weather that's been crazy. The storms have been crazy. The heat's been crazy. I know we're getting to the end of the season right now, and the hard thing to believe is 30 days from now we have to have boilers turned on.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening, September 15th in the city of Chicago, and I'm not sure if it falls under Cook County, but I know we should do it everywhere. You need to have your heating system available to be in use for those nights that dip below 68 degrees. So I know it's probably hard for you to be thinking about that, but I imagine you got some guys planning for that in the background right now, right?
Absolutely. We're looking through. Right now the focus had. I'll be honest, we've definitely switched a lot of resources to finding roofers, et cetera. But in the background, we're planning, you got to have the boilers planned. And I think something a lot of owners miss, or especially if they're new owners, it's not just turn on and leave. Like boilers need to be serviced a lot. And when I mean service, I mean fixed. But drained, and the water needs to be pulled out of them and stuff like that, and recycled so that it doesn't get dirty. And that way you don't have issues. It's much better to spend, a little bit of money every couple of weeks to drain them and have them running correctly, than getting a $10,000 bill that your boiler broke because you weren't taking care of it.
Well, boilers are expensive now. Like, so if you have a good boiler in there and it takes you a couple $1,000s a year preventive maintenance, man, when that thing blows up, and a lot of times it blows up due to lack of maintenance, like that thing those are it's hard to find a new boiler for under 20, 25 grand these days.
Yeah. And this is anecdotal, but and obviously some of this is, I'm going to say percent wise, right? Not number wise, because obviously number wise wouldn't make sense. But the buildings we take over with boilers from like the 70s versus the buildings we take over with boilers from the 90s ones break down more than the 70s ones. Like they don't build them like they used to. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, so you buy these now for 25 grand and they're only lasting 20 years versus the 100 years that the original ones were lasting.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. All right, man. Let's have some fun here. I put together something. I'm gonna throw out 2 cities.
Okay.
And you're going to tell me which one you'd rather manage, or which one you would recommend to investors first and foremost, and then give a 10-second of why. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
All right. I'll start in your neck of the woods. Dalton or Lansing?
Dalton. So less government. The government's easier to work with in terms of getting approved, et cetera. And then also the hack payment versus what you buy the house for is a much better ratio than in Lansing.
Beautiful. Dalton or Hazelcrest?
I'm going to stick with Dalton. Part of its recency bias that Hazelcrest has had 4 tornadoes literally touch down in the last week and has been a vein of us. But also the real reason is still that ratio hack to price value.
All right. Chicago Heights or Lansing?
I'm going to go Lansing. Less dysfunctional government, less in your, they're not trying to get there every year and bug you and make you do 1,000 things. And depending on the pocket of Lansing, there's a little more value there as well. There's a little more appreciation in the area.
All right. Tinley or Orland?
From an investing standpoint right now, it's an easy one. It's Tinley, and that's just because Orland has a rental cap and a rental ban. So it's really hard to buy anything there and get it rented.
All right. Midlothian or Chicago Heights?
That's a good toss-up. I'm going to lean towards Midlothian just because you're going to get a little bit better of a tenant. You're going to get a little bit higher rent. The Village isn't necessarily the easiest to work with, but they're not the hardest either. So I think Chicago Heights definitely has better, you can buy for cheaper there than Midlothian, but I think overall your stress level in Midlothian's going to be less.
Oak Lawn or Chicago Heights?
This really comes down to investment preference, right? It's a B class versus a C- class. So risk versus return, right? If you want something lower risk, lower return, Oak Lawn. If you want something, that you might lose everything, but you might make a lot more money, Chicago Heights.
All right. Chicago Heights or Evergreen Park?
It's a similar situation to what we just had, but I'm gonna give Heights the win just because it's Evergreen Park's getting expensive. So just the rent to buying value isn't as good. Now, if you find a great deal in Evergreen Park, I'm running all over that. It's just not readily available.
Dalton or Riverdale?
Dalton. Rent prices much higher. Odds of getting crime happening to you much less. Yeah.
All right. Riverdale or Markham?
Riverdale. Less likely to get things stolen in Markham, but the government there is so disorganized and so screwed up that to own property there right now, we literally have gotten out of Markham and no longer service it, and are struggling finding realtors that can sell the property, because we have realtors that we partner with that have been trying to sell houses for over a year, not trying to find a buyer, but just can't get through the Village to get the stickers for over a year.
Yeah, I know. We sold one recently, and we put Jake and Jake Fugman and Mike Scanlon through hell, and that one.
That's what I'm talking about. Their team is who has the one I'm talking about. That has been waiting 8 months, trying to get stickers for 8 months, 9 months now.
Yeah,
it's insane. It's not even finding I'm not saying we can't find buyers, right? Like I don't want that to be like there are people that will buy there, but the Village doesn't I don't know what the Village is trying to do. Like my only thought is that this guy has like some master plan that he's going to price everyone out, and then like let Amazon come in and buy all the city properties, and he makes $1 billion or something. I don't know what he's trying to do.
Riverdale or Harvey?
I won't go into it. I have an interesting history with Harvey and management, but I think the new mayor and the new team there, we've made strides and are in a good place now. So I would say Harvey.
All right. Well, I gotta say Harvey or Markham.
Yeah, no, it's Harvey. Markham is gonna on an investor side. There is no town in Illinois that I would put below Markham.
All right. Hazelcrest or Matson?
I would go probably Matson, and more so because of the tax rate. Like your rent's gonna go farther there, or the money you bring in is gonna go farther because you're not paying as high as taxes. But that's a close one.
East Hazelcrest or Harvey?
I'm gonna go East Hazel. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go Harvey, but only
three
because,
times. I think Harvey gets selected 3 times.
It is close. I'm going Harvey, but only because if I go to East Hazelcrest, I'm stopping at the casino, and that's going to cost me all the money I made when I'm there. So it balances. You might make more on the rental, but when you stop at the casino, it goes away.
All right, University Park or Hazelcrest?
University Park's interesting. There's not a lot of inventory there. They just don't have the houses. They don't have the population. They have a mayor that is super welcoming to investors and would love to have us come there. And they have a lot of schools that people don't know about, or not that they don't know about, but like Governor State, you can literally run they don't have housing for those students. So some of those students are taking a train 2 hours to get to class every day from the city. So there's definitely a play there if you can find the houses. I don't build, but if I did, and if I could find some land close enough to that school, student housing is a play there that I don't think people are taking advantage of.
There's tons of land in University Park. All right, University Park or Park Forest?
University Park, and it's purely a tax. Like it's just Park Forest taxes are so high that I just don't know how you profit there. Man, their taxes are more than your like what you pay for your mortgage is nothing compared to what you pay for tax. Like you're going to pay more every month in taxes than mortgage. It's crazy.
All right. I got a couple. I'm going to tell you city versus suburbs.
Okay. All right. The total in general, I would go suburbs. In a CD class area or CD class, right? I think that the way that Hack pays and the way that Hack operates compared to CHA is far better. And I still think the prices in the city are definitely inflated. So I think that you can find better value in some of these suburbs.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Next week, come back. You can do
next week. I was gonna say I'll put together the northwest side for you, and we'll do a similar one.
I figured that'd be a fun flip, if anything.
There you go. Awesome. We got the so we're coming on early today, which I actually like these. I actually do like these morning spots, and I think we get. I haven't seen how many people are logged in right now, but I think we get a good viewings or good views, and people can log in before they get into work, or they're not the middle of the day. So I do like the morning. The one thing we are missing though by not coming on late is the Bears have a press conference scheduled for later today.
Oh, no.
We're gonna get some answers. Not only is Bears football starting Saturday and football season's back, but they're gonna have a press conference to let us all down about the stadium and tell us that they've made no progress. Last rumor I heard is they were looking at a secondary site that they might go to in Hammond. I don't know what. I mean, I thought the first site was sort of already picked and everyone knew what it was going to be, but we're still in limbo here. I mean, that's the end of the day. Is if you're holding those, I know you had some properties out there, sort of spec buying near Arlington. I think you guys are still in play right now, man. There's been no, despite what they're saying, they have made no actual decision.
I was telling someone yesterday, it just seems like for me, it's just so obvious that they're going to go to Arlington Heights. Like, but either way, I bought that property, Rolling Meadows, a few blocks south of Euclid there, and I just refinanced out. So I got 5-year prepay. So I am locked in for the next 5 years either way. So, but no, I definitely think that. Now, I did read some interesting articles, and there's a couple of them that came out a couple weeks ago around if the Bears move to like Wolf Lake and those couple sites are right there on the border, how Illinois can actually benefit financially from the new commerce and the new type stuff that will pop up on the Illinois side of the border as well too.
All right, so we're Wolf Lake, Hammond. Let me just pull it up here. So that would be on the map.
The Wolf Lake location was literally like you could see the border from where they're going to put it in, and some of the stuff on over there. You got the casino, you got all that stuff. Like some of that stuff would benefit commercially from that, bars, restaurants.
Did you know there's an Arizona, Illinois? I just found that out right now.
There's a Phoenix. So the Phoenix, Illinois.
Phoenix, I know. We operate in Phoenix.
Do you manage anything there? What do you know about Phoenix? Like, was there anything good or bad? Like, it's just a small one.
It's like 4 blocks. It's in between Harvey, Markham, Chicago Heights. It really doesn't have its own personality. It just borrows from the other villages around it.
That and Thornton. Thornton's another tiny one as well too.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting, but so it'd be right in. I'm telling you right now. I don't know if you remember me a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about Hegwish sort of becoming the new Boys Town. And how the LGBTQ community has been buying quite a bit over there. That's the border. If it goes to Wolf Lake, that's the border right there. So you have, I mean, think when LGBTQ community started taking Halstead and then started going up north, the values of those homes skyrocketed. Hegwish is starting to see that. If you add the Bears right there, those property, man, it's speculative. A lot has to happen, but I could see that being a huge spec play to make some money buying those houses. And they're not super expensive. It's not like investing in the north where you're putting down, $600, $700 or $700,000. You can still get houses for $250, $275.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm curious to see, but again, I do agree with you. I think this afternoon is just going to be a bunch more of nothing.
Yep. Real quick, because you said it, and I'm going to hide behind maybe our listeners don't know, but it's really me. But you said you prepaid 5 years. What does that mean? Or explain how that.
No. I got a prepayment penalty for I just did a cash out. So I bought the place.
Okay.
I refinanced. I bought a place, rehabbed it. I burned it, and my refinance has I got 5 years
prepaid. Okay. I thought you said you prepaid 5. I was like, I've never heard of that one before.
No. I thought about turning it into a midterm, but again, if this could be a good midterm property down the road, or short term if Rolling Meadows doesn't ban that. But that's something I've been following too a lot, just for news of like short term and midterm. There's so many of these cities. I have a little bot that goes in there and looks all this stuff up, but there's so much conversation happening in these city hall meetings that is talking about how they could ban and get rid of short-term rentals. They don't talk as much about midterm, and they definitely do not. If you're going to talk about a fraction of it, they definitely do nothing really on the long-term conversation-wise. But all these cities, cities you've talked about, all these other northwestern suburbs, like they're all talking about not some sort of ban or some sort of cap on it. So that's something interesting that I'm following. That I don't have a horse in the race, so I really don't care. But I'm always watching to see how governments are acting on stuff like that.
It makes sense. It makes sense how they could get there in their mind, because the issue again is in their mind is housing's too expensive because we have a housing shortage. But as we've said 10,000 times on this show, the way you fix a housing shortage is to build, and that's Eventually the state will figure that out and the city will figure that out, that if you let builders build and you let people come in, that eventually we'll have cheaper inventory.
Man, it's really bothered me lately. I saw it's bothered me, and it's so obvious once now I start thinking about it. Is I saw, you know, I don't know, I don't follow it specifically, but all the landlord Mundami, freeze rent, all that stuff that
Mhm.
falls in my feeds,
Yeah.
and I see the stuff, and I see people on the against it side. That's whatever my
Yeah.
feeds curated for me, for obvious reasons. But the one thing that this landlord said, he's like, man, I went to the meeting and I realized, man, all the owners are mad there. All the tenants are mad there. And ultimately it's the government that's the only one that's not like really
Yeah.
doing anything. So it's almost like the government has created this problem by not making it friendly enough. And now they're pinning residents that need housing and landlords that need ways to invest and to grow their worth. Those renters eventually will become some of those landlords. But it's like, I hate to ever speak down on our government because I do love this country, but the fact that they are literally governments are pitting us against each other for reasons that they created or for scenarios that they created. I can't stop thinking about that.
That's been, I'll say this one line and then I'll step away from it before we get too political, but that has been the last 15 years of politics. It's no longer my idea versus your idea. It's how do I get votes? And a lot of that is staging stuff, is putting up these ridiculous ideas that will never pass, voting on on things that get headlines. And that's what a lot of this has become, right? Like it's a bigger headline to say, hey, we voted on this bill to give renters rights, than to, first of all, say anything actually in the bill that actually does anything good for renters. They don't really go into a whole lot of details on these press conferences on purpose because they just want the headline, right? But that's a better headline than, hey, we approved 3,000 permits to build, and now there's gonna be 3,000 new houses in. You can bring that up. We'll transition to that in South Deering, right? Like we brought this up before. I think it's 135,000 is what the government adds on to building a house and just fees and licensing. Man, that means affordable housing used to be a house for 150,000, and you cannot build that for that. And it's not necessarily. I mean, material has stuff to do with that, with the increases, but you get rid of these fees and stuff or lower them significantly, and we might be able to get new houses for 200, 250 again.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Because some of these alternative ways of building, through whether it be containers or through modular, like
Yeah.
that's just not working. It's helping them build faster, but it's definitely not helping with the overall cost. And there's a barrier of entry to it as well too. So it just has to. I don't know. There just has to be something done to like that happen. And you have talking about down Torrance Avenue is all now down Torrance Avenue. You run into a bunch of issues with those. Make a lot of contamination. A lot of stuff you run into in the east side and down there, like that land's pretty nasty down there. Like if I understand, Deering, like it was built on like peat or whatever. So, and you got all the train yards, stuff like that. So you do run into some issues with that, and that's why it does. But when you keep going further south, like there's just tons of land. Like there's lots of land when you go south of, just south of the city there. So especially when you get down to University Park. I mean, we were talking about Park Forest before. Like that was one of the original like subdivisions that they built to those after post-war type communities with the 3-bedroom 1-bath ranches, and the world can use some more of those. So they just can't figure out how to make them cheap enough.
Alejandro's bringing up ADUs, and I'm curious. I just had experience with a client with this. Have you guys tried to get any of your clients ADUs yet, or in any area?
We have not. This is really what's happened is they get a bunch of education from us. I refer them to a couple. There's a podcast episode I have on there. His gentleman slipped in his name, but he went through the whole process he went through and how much he spent. And he talked to an architect, and a lot of people just get deterred from it. And maybe either they do nothing and keep it a legal unit or non-conforming unit, or they shift their mindset to like, maybe I'll just duplex down this first floor.
Yeah, it's really becoming that. And then on top of that, the other thing right? Each alderman gets to sort of choose their own roles. And we just we thought we were going to get one. Unfortunately, there was a fire, so we have a bunch of, we got to rebuild it. But it was a 3-unit, but apparently it was only zone 2, and he didn't know that when he bought it. And we looked into getting it moved over. It's in the Woodlawn area, and it turns out that aldermen will only grant an ADU if it's owner occupied. So like that's just another caveat or another rule that they're throwing in there, wrinkle that they're throwing in there to make it harder. And man, like we need housing, man. like people aren't able to find apartments, and apartment prices are getting so high because there's no competition. Like we need to create this competition. The city just does not want to.
Yeah, that sounds. So when we interviewed the alderman up there in 42nd Ward, Lakeview, they did say that they're always going to favor getting those things done for the owner occupants. But it's like, what I asked him off air, I said off air, I'm like, yeah, the guy right now is the guy that's got the money to convert it to 3 units. Ultimately, to be able to sell it to the guy that's going to be owner occupied next, and that guy can live in the garden apartment, because now there's just more options, more housing, there's more money that's going to come in, and it actually makes financial sense, because that's ultimately your client there. Like Woodlawn is a beautiful house hacking neighborhood. Yeah. And more than likely, if you sold that property, you probably sell it to a house hacker with one of the units vacant. Yep. But now it's less attractive. Your seller can't do what he needs to maximize the value. Taxes will be less for the city. Like it's all these. It's like, oh man, I hate always coming on here and talking about the short-sightedness of some of these plans that they're building out with the city. But man, it's just so obvious from a long-term perspective.
I can't wait for 10 years from now seeing the documentary on the transition of O Block. It's gonna it's gonna be great. But the fact that and I grew up on the South Side and went to Curie, for those that don't know all that. So like I know a lot of people from those areas, and from it going to what O Block was to selling these $1 million 3 flats is just crazy to me. Like in such a short period too. It's just really been since in the last 7 or 8 years that it's all started to move up.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I had buildings over there 15 years ago, and it's like, man, like you got out of there by 10 o'clock every morning, and you if you paid more than 30,000 a unit, you're getting ripped off. Before we leave, we're going to throw out a prediction right now. We're going to see what you think and what I think, and we'll see if it comes true. Who's our next Chicago mayor?
Man, it's and I think the guy's fun, but it's definitely not Willie Garcia. But I'm looking forward to the free gas that he will inevitably give us as he tries to run again for the 10th time. I think Alexi's got a shot. You can't count Brandon out yet, although he hasn't even said he's running yet. We don't know what's going on, but like as hard as he's pushing for the runners or for the renters right now, and this new, like he's definitely trying to get headlines to get back in at some point if he can get something passed. Quigley might be or Quinn. What's the guy's name? Is it Quigley or Quinn? Who else is supposed to be running? The state senator. Which one?
Yeah, you got that, and you got Mendoza. There's like 12. I'm getting all these Instagram feeds of all these random people. They're not random people. They're random people to me. But
I definitely think we might have a runoff. That's a prediction. But Mendoza has a shot, especially with the Latino, being Latino and being able to get a lot of the South Side there. I'd say probably Mendoza or Alexi as probably the two leading candidates. How about yourself?
I would say Alexi. I think he'll win it. He's got a lot of I don't know, he just has a lot of he could kind of appeal to both sides. And then if anyone's been a Secretary of State and they give him credit for that, then they'll definitely know he could make changes.
Yep.
So all right, man. Anything else before we wrap here?
No, man. The only other thing I wanted to mention is like thanks for anyone that came up to me, and I know you guys recorded over at last Thursday at the big NBOA event. Had my first ever time being protested against. That was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't bring this up. I totally meant to bring that up too. Like, NBOA Summer Soiree was awesome. We talked about it leading up to it, but there ended up being protests out there. What were they out there protesting? I guess if you want to share that.
None of them could actually tell me, and none of them would actually talk. we tried to go and try to go talk to them and see what they were protesting, et cetera. I mean, it definitely was the pro plan or for pro. I mean, honestly, the way like I've never and I remember being part of protests in high schools when the whole Iraq War was happening and everything like that. And like I was, we were in that year. In those years, I was in high school where we staged walkouts for the war and all that fun stuff. I've never seen a protest before where literally the girl had to pull out a sheet of paper and didn't know the chant and had to like read and figure out the chant that she was supposed to be saying. I am like 95% sure that all of those people were paid to be there.
Really?
It's like none of them knew what they were talking about. None of them had any idea. They all sort of knew each other. But again, just like the fact that everything was nondescript. The one sign I did see saw just cause was what it said on there. So I'm assuming he wanted just cause evictions to be a thing. But again, none of them wanted to talk. None of them wanted to say anything. And what they were protesting, she was reading from a sheet of paper. So like it wasn't like they didn't really know what they were there for. It seemed like.
Yeah, and a few people asked me too, like, what were the protests there for? And I guess I just couldn't. I anti-landlord, pro-tenant laws coming up. Like, that was kind of my response I've been giving.
Yeah, it seemed like I'm not saying it was Mayor Johnson that paid them, but like someone that is trying to get this pro law passed, paid and staged this to make the news. But yeah, it was just weird. Like I've never seen a protest that just didn't have a point or didn't know what I shouldn't say didn't have a point, but didn't know their points.
Yeah. Well, what you just talked about is what was talked about for the couple of following days. It was like no one's kind of even sure why they're there. So it almost seemed kind of just silly. Like I guess they weren't effective enough. Now we're talking about protesters and we're talking about the law, so maybe they are getting their point across. But at the same time, I don't know. I think you want to feel for both sides and every you want to understand both sides, and I just don't understand what they're there for to do.
I think as a landlord side, and I think MBOA is doing a semi good job of this, but also I think there is. We had an initiative at CAR, Chicago Association of Realtors, a couple of years ago, and I was part of it. It's getting out the press releases on how this hurts tenants. Not saying how it. Like I think yes, MBOA does a great job of saying how these are going to hurt landlords, and the effect. But the effect's going to be a greater negative to tenants, and I don't think we as shows like this and things like that need do a better job of saying of showing how the unintended consequences of these bills raising rent prices and making it harder to look. We have probably the strongest eviction laws in the country in Cook County, meaning like the hardest to get an eviction. And what does that do? It makes landlords not able to approve people that in other cities, like in Indiana, that they can get an apartment easily. All the times you see like these crazy ass landlords wanting 3x rent and a 700 credit score to live in a shack. That's all because of these laws that make it so hard to evict a non-paying tenant.
Yep. To wrap up your thought there, I mean, you hit it on the head. Every time the government steps in and passes something, puts something in place, there are unintended consequences. Even going back to the Chicago ordinance, where it's like literally no one collects security deposits anymore because they are no longer because it just doesn't make business sense to do it. And now so many people have to spend $500-600 more when they could have been great outstanding tenants, got 100% of that back in a form of security deposit. So there's always these unintended consequences. And like you said, that's what I guess we're here to educate people on, in addition to helping them be better landlords. And then at the same time, understand both sides, because like I said before, residents hurt. This obviously puts hurt on us, and it's sometimes just not fair of how this is unraveling.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you, Tim, for showing up. Looking forward to next week. I always actually wrote some notes down. I got some fun topics next week. You're going to bring me back.
I'm going to bring you back suburb pit against, and we're going to see where Mark would invest in the the northwest side of the western suburbs. So,
all right. Thank you for everyone joining. Anyone that has questions about property management or maybe where you want to invest, reach out to either one of us. You can find the replay of this anywhere on Straight Up Chicago Investor Facebook, my LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram. So if you found any value from this, please forward to another investor friend of yours, and we'll see you next week.
All right, guys.